Welcome to Spirits Podcast, Episode 9, Norse Mythology 101. Julia, tell us all about what we're going to learn today.
We are going to do a brief, and when I say brief, I mean it's going to be like a lot of information, but it's only going to skim the surface of Norse mythology. It's actually one that I wasn't too familiar with. I had to do a lot of research for this episode, and, you know, still my information might be a little wonky, but it's going to be jam-packed of, like, weird stories, gods of weird things.
Avengers references.
A lot of Avengers references.
Yeah, we've hit the Greeks, we've hit the Egyptians, we've hit the, you know, the Celtic.
The Egyptians.
We've gone Mesopotamia, which is close to Egypt.
Might as well.
But we've hit lots of major mythology systems and traditions, but not yet the Norse.
It seemed like the appropriate time.
Good. Well, we're excited for it. Thank you so much to those of you who have reviewed us on iTunes. We made the new and noteworthy section, which really makes us happy, who have followed us on Twitter, who have interacted with us. We really, really love hearing from you.
And tweet at us. We love to hear from you. We love to make new friends and
followers,
new connections.
All of it.
What are we drinking tonight, Amanda?
We're drinking mead.
Yes, we are.
True story. I ran into Dylan Sprouse over the weekend.
I'm still overwhelmed by this story.
Dylan Sprouse, a former Disney childhood star.
The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
And current NYU grad, my alma mater, who is opening New York's first mead distillery.
Which is insane.
So until we have that home brewed indie mead to drink, we are simply drinking some store-bought mead. But it is delicious. / a little bit sweet. I'm drinking it over ice like you would champagne if it's a little bit too sweet for you. That's my preferred champagne drinking method. But it is quite on brand for this Norse Mythology 101 episode coming at you right now.
So we're going to break it down real quick. Norse Mythology 101 session.
I know nothing except for Loki and Thor.
Okay.
Bring it.
And even then, you probably don't know as much as you think you know.
I'm sure I know nothing.
So when we're talking about Norse mythology, we're talking about the religion that it extended through Germany, Scandinavia, and then like parts of England, all the way up until the Dark Ages.
Cool. So Northwestern Europe, right?
Yes.
Scandinavia, etc.
So starting with kind of the origin story, it involves the god Odin, who's we're going to talk about in a second, but he's basically like the king of the gods, Zeus-esque character.
Name I've heard before.
Yeah. So he and his brothers kill this giant called Ymir.
Okay.
And from his body, they create the 9 realms.
Okay, that I also heard of in the Avengers.
Yes, of course. The 9 realms.
the nine like universes.
Right. It's not even universes, it's worlds. They're all part of this giant
planets or like dimensions.
Dimensions was probably more appropriate.
Okay. It's like different universes in parallel.
Right.
Almost. Okay.
They're all kind of interconnected because they're all part of this giant world tree called Yggdrasil.
Huh.
Which that was a great pronunciation.
That was really good. Go you.
You know how I know how to pronounce that?
How?
I watched an episode of QI with Stephen Fry.
Great.
And he like makes a point of saying like Yggdrasil, and I'm like, that's how you say it.
Thank you, Stephen Fry.
I don't need to know anything else other than that's how you pronounce Yggdrasil. Okay.
Stephen Fry found to be a guest. Get in touch.
So from the body of the giant Ymir, his blood makes the seas on all the planets.
Cool.
His skin makes the ground.
Makes sense.
And then his skull makes the heavens, like the dome in which the sky is held.
Yeah. Very good.
So that's pretty cool. They help, Odin and his brothers, they help shape the first mortals.
All right.
A man, which they make out of an ash tree.
Ash trees, pretty. Okay, yeah. I get it.
And then the woman, they make out of a vine. Okay, so important things to know before we go into like who the gods are and kind of from there. Mm-hmm. We talked about Yggdrasil. It is a mythical tree. It's usually an ash tree, which is kind of interesting when you look at the back and forth between the fact that the first man was created out of an ash tree and the universe is created out of an ash tree.
So, like, man is the most essential distillation of, like, the universe.
Sure. That seems kind of right.
Makes sense. Patriarchy. Yeah.
It's 9 worlds.
Okay.
They're all inhabited by different kinds of creatures.
Interesting that it's not 7 worlds.
Yes, because 7's usually a pretty big mystical number.
Right. Instead, it's 9.
Right. So the most important ones that we're going to talk about are Asgard.
Okay.
Which is the world of the gods.
That's what I've heard of before.
Yes.
Midgard, is that Earth?
And Midgard is
Yes!
Earth. Good job, Amanda.
Yes! I've read enough Avengers fan fiction to understand Asgard and Midgard.
Okay.
Midgard.
And then, like, the other worlds aren't super important, but they house creatures like giants, elves, dwarves, demons, etc.
Makes super sense.
Okay, awesome. There's also, we should probably talk about the different levels of the underworld because they kind of come important when we're talking about the gods later on. There's Hel, which is Hel, and is also the name of the goddess who controls that area.
Makes sense.
There's Valhalla.
That I've heard of before as like a place. I know from the excellent Canadian show whose name I'm forgetting right now.
Lost Girl.
Lost Girl,
Yes.
About like a bisexual succubus living in
Fantastic.
Toronto.
Best.
It's so good, guys. Look it up. But is Valhalla like a I don't know, a heaven for warriors?
Yes, sort of.
Cool.
We'll talk about that a little more.
But it's a dimension of hell. We'll get there.
Yeah, it's an underworld. It's a place people go when they die.
Okay.
And then Folk Wagner. So we'll talk about those later on. They become super important.
Good pronunciation. I am super in awe.
Awesome. So a thing you have to consider when I'm telling you these stories is that Norse mythology is both linear and cyclical.
Great.
It gets a little confusing at times.
Yep.
Because it's weird that they're both. So the stories are linear, but there's a turning point where the world is destroyed and then recreated.
Makes sense, though, because as relatively stable kingdoms, right, with like long traditions of rule and of royal families and of democratic traditions later in the cycle, but as countries that are obviously cyclical, like everybody else, there's seasons, there's, growing seasons, there's generations, whatever. Like, I definitely see the way that both of those time streams could make a lot of sense in the mythology.
That's kind of important to know, that the world is going to end at some point, and it's going to be reborn, and it's probably going to end again, and it's going to continue on in the cycle.
Very practical.
Yeah. So we're going to go into that, but first, we need to know who the players are.
Let's do it.
Starting with Odin.
Great.
Odin is king
Papa
of the
Zeus.
gods.
Papa Zeus.
Papa Zeus. Well, Papa Zeus in that, like, his role with the gods is similar, but if we're talking about, like, what he controls in Norse mythology, he's more like Athena.
Really?
Yeah, so he's the...
What's his domain?
He's the god of war and wisdom and like a little bit of fortune telling.
Okay. So like how future outcomes are going to go.
Right. So basically a lot of what his character is, especially in his like really early stories, is that he's always like searching for knowledge and like desire. Like he fucks a lot of ladies, but like he's also like, he's using that like, he's using his wiles in order to like get more information to get ahead.
Okay, so he's like a playa of fortune.
So kind of to describe like how big like learning knowledge is to him is one of his like key stories, which is he goes to his uncle Mimir.
Okay.
Who is he's also known as the Rememberer. And he's in charge of guarding this thing called the Well of Knowledge.
Sounds very important.
Makes sense, right? Mimir is also like, he's the god of wisdom because he drinks from the well every morning. Okay. And it allows him to see like everything in the universe, past, present, future.
He's got a direct line to that divine knowledge.
He knows what up. So
this is Odin's brother or friend?
Uncle.
Okay.
He wants in on that. Mimir is like, that's a big fucking burden. You have to prove to me that like you can handle this shit. And he's like, you need to sacrifice something of equal worth to me. And Odin's like, aight, and then pops out his eye.
Oh, wow. Is that why Odin has an eye patch in the Avengers?
Yes! Yes! And also why my favorite book, American Gods, which is coming out with the Stars series really, really soon.
It is.
Also why he has a glass eye, why the character of Mr. Wednesday in American Gods by Neil Gaiman has a glass eye.
Makes total sense.
Because I guess he doesn't want to rock the eye patch as much.
So giving up half of his literal vision for, great metaphorical vision.
Exactly. So he sacrifices his eye. He's allowed to drink from the well. He becomes aware of everything past, present, and future.
That's a burden I don't want.
Which includes knowing that one day all of the gods are going to die in this epic battle.
Wow. That's pretty heavy.
Well, most of the gods are going to die in this epic battle. And the world is going to end.
Wow.
So he's like, well, shit.
Yeah.
But he, like, kind of comes to terms with it. We'll talk about that a little later. He, like, is ready for that crap by the end of it.
Right. It sounds like they're kind of quite well adjusted as a culture. Like, this is cyclical. Things come and go.
He's also the first being outside the giants to learn the art of poetry, which is, like, very wisdom related, I guess.
Yeah, poetry is how we work through big ideas that language can't even capture, you know?
So the way that he, like, learns the art of poetry is, like, super weird and, like, very Greek in my opinion. He has to go into an underground cavern. He sneaks through a hole in the cavern in the shape of a snake.
Great. Shape-shifting.
Turns back into human form. Befriends the giant who owns this, like, potion that grants the ability to write poetry.
Wow, it's a potion.
Seduces his daughter.
Oh my.
Of course. Then has her get the mixture while he keeps the giant distracted.
Uses, or like, okay, I can't construct this pun because I'm too drunk.
Oh, God.
But something about using his snake and the literal snake.
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sneaking through the hole. Oh, Amanda, no.
I didn't even do the whole, listeners, this is what you come to us for. Quality content.
So quality.
Wait, so why is he in this cave? I got confused.
Because the giant has a potion that allows him to learn how to be a poet.
Why does he want to do that?
Because it sounds nice.
Okay, fine.
So the daughter steals the potion while he keeps the giant distracted.
Yes. Not with his dick, with something else.
With something else, his lovely personality.
Sure.
Once he has the potion, he flies back to Asgard in the form of an eagle, but not before killing the giant that he made friends with.
Typical Odin. Yeah. Worst friend.
Though, to be fair, he then does a super Prometheus thing where he, like, gives all the humans the potion, and then, like, humans could be poets now.
I mean, he got laid already, so why does he?
Like, why the fuck not?
He's got
like,
no worries.
Everyone share the wealth with me.
He's got no worries. He's in that post-coital bliss. Here you go, humans. Poetry. Enjoy.
So gods in Norse mythology could age.
Okay.
So they aged. One of the ways
slowly or normally?
Normally. But the way that they would, like, rejuvenate themselves normally is, like, one of the goddesses in Norse mythology had these golden apples, and the gods would just eat them, and then they would, like, stay young.
Convenient.
Odin's like, I don't want to do that. Fuck these apples.
Okay.
So he picks a really, like, difficult way of staying young forever. He decides that he's going to do this, like, ritual.
Okay.
So what this ritual kind of is he stabs himself with his own spear.
Oh, boy.
And then hangs himself from Yggdrasil for 9 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why 9 days?
Because that's the magic number in Norse mythology. 9 realms, 9 days.
But wait, does he die during that time?
Kinda.
And just his body is, like, hanging?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then, so when he wakes up on the 9th day...
Convenient.
Like, comes out of his weird death coma.
Okay.
He becomes ageless.
Okay.
And he learns the secret of the magic runes.
That sounds valuable.
The runes are basically, like, if you've ever, I don't know if you've been to, like, a psychic medium or whatever, sometimes they have these, like, little tiles that have, like, weird symbols on them.
Okay.
And they're able to, like, tell the future or whatever.
Okay.
It's another skill he teaches humans afterwards, too.
Oh, fortune telling, right.
So it helps them, like, see the future, know what to do, the universe tells them, like, what's the deal.
Interesting.
So that's, like, totally his thing.
Thanks, Odin.
A+, good work. And then his, like, 2 sidekicks during all this are 2 ravens that kind of fly around the world and bring him information.
Okay.
They're called Hugin, which is thought, and Munin, which is memory.
Okay. 2 important functions of the brain.
Especially for, like, a wisdom god, you know? Like,
yes.
He knows all of the thoughts and all of the memories of the world because of these two birds.
Yeah, this is reminding me of the two lions in front of the New York Public Library, which are named Patience and Fortitude.
Oh, the lions!
Right.
I didn't know they had names.
Oh, Patience and Fortitude,
I did
girl.
not know that.
Yes! They were on my planners throughout middle and high school. I had New York Public Library themed agenda books.
No one's surprised by that.
Nope, no one is. And I love that librarians, like the two virtues that they choose are patience, because shit takes a long time.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And fortitude, because like research is boring and long.
That's pretty good reasons. I like that.
I love him.
Odin, like I said, wisdom god, but also war god.
Right. Didn't touch on that yet.
So he was like a really fabulous warrior. So like just appearing on the battlefield would strike his enemies blind, deaf, and impotent.
Whoa.
It's like, okay, blind, deaf, impotent. All right.
Triple threat there.
So he valued courage as like a human thing more than anything.
Okay.
And that's because he knows that the universe is doomed.
Right. Yeah. So like courage in the face of that is pretty important.
You know, knowing that everything's hopeless, but like still fighting anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's a big fucking deal.
That shit's noble.
So he wanted people to have courage no matter what.
Okay.
He's like, no matter what's going on, these people have to have courage. So he actually had this group of woman spirits called the Valkyries.
Ah,
yes,
harpy,
you know
wonderful,
the Valkyries.
Yes, like winged creature demon things.
Right. So they would go to the battlefield. They would observe battles. And then choose the most valiant fallen warriors to dine in Valhalla, which is the underworld for any warrior chosen to be courageous enough to fight on the side of Odin.
So like warrior heaven.
Yeah.
I'm now imagining a podcast of these Valkyries as they sit and watch and do like figure skating style commentary of a battle.
Excellent spear throw, 10 points.
Right. Oh no, he like didn't stick the landing there. Ah, damn it.
He's got a spear in the heart now.
Right. Ah.
These fallen warriors are gonna have like a really big role to play in Ragnarok.
Which is what we're going to talk about next time.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later. Next, we're going to talk about your fave, the big T.
Thor?
Yeah.
Loki's my fave.
Oh, okay, whatever.
Thor is my second fave.
I like the handsome blonde Chris Hemsworth, if you don't mind me.
I get them confused.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. The Chris's or Thor and Loki?
The Hemsworths.
Oh, okay. Liam's the younger, less attractive one.
That name immediately turns to dust in my mind.
So Thor, god of storms and thunder, obviously. Mm-hmm. He was a total hothead, like a super mighty fighter. He had a bunch of cool gear that made him a better fighter. Like he had like iron gloves and like a girdle that doubled his power.
A souped up Ferrari.
And of course, Mjolnir. The hammer. The hammer. He also had like when he rode around into battle and stuff, he had a chariot with goats that like
awesome.
led it. And then also like if he got hungry, he would just kill and eat the goats. And then like,
that's awesome.
And then they would just be reborn again.
Wow.
So like he had an endless cycle of goats.
Transpo and also snacks.
Yes.
Shawarma on the go.
Oh no! It's so
on the goat. You're welcome, audience.
So bad. So bad. So most of his stories kind of involve him tricking and then smashing the heads of a bunch of people in a heat of rage.
Wow.
There's one that involves his hammer, which is also, you know, a big fucking deal because it's Thor's hammer.
Right, which only the worthy can move.
That's a Marvel thing, actually.
That's the only frame of reference I have.
Okay. Anyone can really pick up the hammer. Well, not anyone, but like, you know, if you're strong enough, you can pick up the hammer.
Okay.
But the whole he who is mighty thing, totally Marvel.
Interesting.
Yeah. Thor's hammer stolen by a giant called Therum.
Okay.
Therum refuses to return the hammer, says the only way that he's going to return it is that if he is allowed to marry the goddess Freya, who's the goddess of love and beauty.
Sounds like a good goddess to want to marry.
Yeah, she's the goddess who, you know how the Valkyries take the fallen warriors who are courageous and
back
shit?
to Valhalla.
The ones who aren't picked by the Valkyries, she controls the underworld where they go.
Okay.
Which she controls the underworld called Folk Wagner, which is basically where these fallen warriors can like sit and rest and, you know, have a nice afterlife and can be peaceful.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it's fine. You don't have to really complain too much.
So being a warrior, whether or not you're extremely valiant,
you still
you're
get
good. You're good.
It's kind of like peaceful fields of niceness. Not like super like send me a mead kind of thing like Valhalla is, where they're all tranquil. Like rowdy and fighting. These guys get to just relax.
It's like the nerd frat house.
The nerd frat house. That is exactly right. So Freya's just like totally not interested in this giant. She's like, fuck no, I'm not going to marry him. And so Loki, who's the trickster god, we'll talk about him a little bit more later, helps Thor out by suggesting he should disguise himself as Freya. So the story, like, they go to the giant's realm. The story is very Little Red Riding Hood, where they're like, oh, your cheeks are very red for a woman. And he's like, it's because we've been traveling. And then, like, shit like that.
You mean it's not my gigantic broad shoulders and
maybe
body
Freya was
parts?
very masculine. Who knows?
Who knows?
So Theorem finally is like ready to marry her. So marry her, meaning Thor.
Right.
So as part of the like proposal and like getting ready for marriage thing, he places the hammer down at Thor's feet, and Thor's like, ha ha, you fucking douchebag, picks it up and then kills everyone in the room.
Whoa.
Yeah, like really intense.
That's the ultimate like she's the man finale.
The movie would have been so much better if that's what actually happened.
So much better if Mjolnir shows up in the finale.
So that's Thor. He's a total hothead. He's basically like really...
Sounds like a playboy.
Yeah. He sounds like a giant frat boy, and that's basically what he is.
Cool. Good job, Hemsworth. Whichever one you are.
Pretty accurate portrayal by Hemsworth.
Cool.
And good directing by Kenneth Branagh. Next is Balder.
Okay.
Balder is the son of Odin. He is the golden child.
Okay.
He is considered the most beautiful of the gods.
Great.
And he's like, it's never really clear what he's actually the god of. So it's kind of theorized he's a bunch of like really good things like love, peace, forgiveness, justice, light,
good shit,
etc.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like
just
a bunch
everything.
Of like, everything good in the world is Balder. The
opposite of all the bad shit, that's Balder.
So pretty much everyone everywhere loves him. All the things in the realm like really, really are into him. But Odin, who's seen the future, knows that for whatever reason, Balder's gonna die. But he doesn't know exactly how. For some reason, that's not like something he knows.
Oh shit.
In order to make sure that Balder like isn't gonna die anytime soon, Odin has every living thing and object swear that they're never gonna hurt him.
Makes sense.
However, the only thing that doesn't make this promise is mistletoe, because no one remembered to ask it.
Oh no. I'm seeing a classic tale here where like the underloved and underappreciated thing.
The gods are super excited about it. They're like, okay, everything promised not to hurt him. We're all good.
Let's not
A+.
celebrate people.
Good job. They do end up celebrating because now Balder is invulnerable.
So they think.
Yes. And so in order to celebrate, they come up with a game, which is basically like everyone throw shit at Balder because he can't get hurt by it.
Really bad.
I mean, like, if you knew, like, oh, I couldn't be hurt by anything, and your friends were like, good job, we're just gonna throw all this shit at you now.
I would say, please no, let's go to Wendy's.
A+
instead.
So Loki, again...
Trickster god. Everyone's little brother.
Super jealous of how popular Balder is.
I bet he is.
So he sets out to destroy him.
Okay.
He finds out that mistletoe never promised to hurt Balder.
Classic mistletoe.
So the next time the gods start a game of throw shit at Balder...
Oh no.
Loki gives a spear carved out of mistletoe to Balder's blind brother Hodor.
Okay. Like the god in Game of Thrones. Or
it's a
troll on Game of
Thrones. Instead of OR, but yeah, basic same.
Okay, yeah.
And tells him like, oh, this is just a regular spear. And
no, it's not.
Hodor's like, oh, awesome. And he throws it. And he stabs Balder right in the heart. So pierces his heart, kills him. Balder is sent
Kills him? My god.
It's pierced at heart. He's a dude. I mean, he's a god, but he's still a dude.
Wow.
Balder gets sent to the underworld, Hell, which is where the gods go when they die.
This is like the worst thing mistletoe's done since like the Christmas party of 2009 where I didn't kiss anybody.
It was oddly specific. Thank you for that, Amanda.
You're welcome.
He goes to hell. The gods try and get him back. So hell promises to release him if every being in the realm cries over his death.
Okay, seems attainable.
Yeah, but Loki disguises himself as a giant, doesn't cry, because obviously, like, he's like, haha, I killed this
Loki,
motherfucker.
God.
And so Balder has to remain in hell. Odin finds out that Loki's behind this shit.
Good. Discipline your son, Odin.
And has Loki bound in a cave and has a poisonous, painful venom from a snake dripped on him constantly.
That's horrific.
And so Loki, as you would imagine, not gonna be super pleased about this shit.
No.
Yeah.
I would be murderously pissed.
Yes. So, Loki.
Yep.
Loki, usually described like really handsome, super wicked, wild.
Nice.
Wild. Has
The
wild.
kind of guy you want to date in high school but not bring home to your parents.
He's a very like tall, dark, and handsome kind of dude.
For sure.
Like, he would maybe like have a motorcycle
already there.
and black leather jacket.
Oh, yes. Already there.
We're all into it. He's not as dorky as Tom Hiddleston makes him look.
The Kaneki of the group.
Yes. Okay. That's fair. I'll give you that. He, despite his trickery, is actually like pretty good buddies with most of the gods in the Norse mythology.
Okay.
So he's kind of like Finnick Odair in Hunger Games. He's pretty good friends. He's like Finnick, where he's like, he knows everyone's secrets kind of thing.
Sure.
Like they confide in him and shit like that for whatever reason.
It's easy to confine the trickery god.
So before he was...
I say with no personal experience.
So before he was bound by Odin for the whole killing Balder thing.
Okay.
One of the last things he does is go to this feast that's being thrown by the god of the sea, Aegir. Mm-hmm. Loki wasn't invited to that shit. He just shows the fuck up. And so he forces his way into the hall. Everyone's like, Loki, like he's a trickster
Why
god.
are you here?
Like, that's not cool. And so like they're having a good time. So like no one's super pleased that he's there. But Loki is like, yo, there are hospitality rules. You guys have to treat me as like a fucking equal.
Give me beer, give me bread.
Yeah, and like there's Odin. He and I are buddies, right, Odin? And Odin's like, I guess. So they finally let him in, but Loki's feeling snubbed as fuck. So he starts like verbally attacking all of the gods in the room, letting their secrets slip, like every like affair and like cowardly moment.
Loki.
He's telling all of their most embarrassing stories. So like some of the gods try and apologize. He's like, nope, fuck you. Here's the other thing you did, and then this thing, and then you fucked this other woman instead of your wife.
Just let Loki sit at your cafeteria table, guys.
And then other ones try and attack him, but he's like comes up with like 1,000 times better stories for everyone they try and
stressful.
use. Then Thor arrives. Thor's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh no.
And like threatens him, like he's like, I'm gonna bash your fucking head
Bodily
in.
harm, right?
And then Loki's like, huh. And so he like is like scampering out of the hall, but he kind of like turns around and he's like, listen, this is the last feast y'all are gonna be at. And then bounces.
Oh, man.
Because he's like, the world is gonna fucking burn.
That's ominous.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what happens?
Well, next episode, we're gonna talk about Ragnarok.
Is this a cliffhanger? Spirits was created by Julia Shafini and me, Amanda McLaughlin. It's edited by Eric Schneider with music by Kevin MacLeod and visual design by Allison Wakeman.
Subscribe to Spirits on your preferred podcast app to make sure you never miss an episode. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr at Spirits Podcast.
On our Patreon page, patreon.com/spiritspodcast, you can sign up for exclusive content like behind-the-scenes photos, audio extras, director's commentary, blooper reels, and beautiful recipe cards with custom drink and snack pairings.
If you like the show, please share with your friends and leave us a review on iTunes. It really does help.
Thank you so much for listening. Till next time.